Well, let's go back to our early story on the pullout of USAID and its ramifications on us as a nation because, like I said earlier, we are at risk of losing about $150 million in developmental. Professor Lord has joined us now. Prof, thank you so much. We apologize for the technical hitches there. But really, what could be the impact of this decision on our developmental agenda here?
Yes, can you hear me now clearly?
Loud and clear.
Yes, thank you. So yes, thank you for having me. I think this is a very important and serious issue that we are discussing. As you rightly mentioned, Ghana currently receives about $150 million dollars from the United States government in international development cooperation through the USAID. And withdrawing that is going to have direct implications for critical sectors like health, education, and infrastructure that these funds cover for us. So it's not only Ghana, but across the other countries in Africa who also rely on such funding, there's going to be a gap, a shortfall in their funding for these critical sectors. So in my view, it's a very critical situation that we find ourselves in.
Looking at how critical the situation is, then clearly we need to be very worried about this decision.
We should be worried, and we should also begin to look at alternative sources of funding. One of them would be to look at other donor countries and partners that may fill the gap. But in the long term, it's also a call on us to begin to mobilize resources internally in order to be able to address those critical needs that we rely on USAID to do. Because we can't forever continue to rely on others who can always disappoint us. So for me, in as much as is very dire and very critical, as a country, it should not be a hopeless and helpless situation. We should rather look at ways in which we can mobilize resources internally in order to fill the shortfall.
And for a country like Ghana, we've been told so over the years that, well, in terms of our internally generated funds, we are not doing too well. We are losing so much. In fact, this administration promised that they were going to cut back on so much wastage to be able to raise enough capital. But for projects that are funded by the USAID as it stands now, what should be the priority line, looking at the fact that government already has a very tight corner in terms of finances to deal with?
Well, so in the first place, the prioritization that you talk about is very important. I mean, if you look at how much we're spending on government appointees in the last government, was far higher than what the new government is proposing. So that drastic cut in the number of ministers and other appointees, I mean, it's going to leave some money for us to use for other critical sectors. But all I'm saying is that in the long term, we have to look within the country, which other sectors can we move resources from? There's so much waste in the system, and we all talk about these things. So it's up to the new government to prioritize certain sectors that are more critical to our very survival as a people. Because like I indicated, you can't always rely on foreign aid.
Right.
The whole debate around aid effectiveness has come to a head, and Donald Trump is doing what he promised he was going to do. And I would have thought that as a country, we should even not be surprised, because this is a gentleman who had campaigned vigorously against some of these things that the previous government in America was doing. So for me, he's just doing what he said he was going to do. The question would be, how prepared are we, and how ready are we to use our own internal resources in order to fund those critical sectors as a country?
Right. And Prof, do you see any political implications of this decision?
Well, political implications in terms of for us or for the United States, if you can clarify.
For us, basically.
Oh, well, the implications is that, you see, these are bilateral arrangements. The aid that America gives to Ghana directly is a bilateral arrangement. And aid has always been an instrument of power and influence. America does not give aid just for sake of giving aid. So it's also about geopolitical strategic interests of America. So that is why I think Donald Trump is indicating that going forward, America's foreign policy will be driven by three things: whether it makes them safer, whether it makes them prosper, and whether it makes them stronger. So if in their calculations, maintaining Ghana as a key ally in West Africa is in their geopolitical interest, then I think there'll be some revisions to the general order.
Right.
So for now, it's a blanket order, but I think it will look at the geostrategic importance of Ghana in West Africa, and that might influence the way the Trump administration may behave going forward.
Very well. Prof, thank you so much. Grateful for your company and time this afternoon.